Mindy Stern.
I'm JD Cargill.
And I'm Michelle Arrego, and this is Friendsome Then Some.
We are three best friends who met over 2 decades ago working in LA's local news scene, and we started this podcast to listen, learn, and laugh. How do we laugh? On our journey to improving the midlife experience through the incredible power of friendship.
And each week we rip back the curtain on midlife, candidly exposing the biggest issues facing middle-aged people, often by sharing the intimate details of our own lives and our friendship. Through expert guests and celebrity interviews, we offer friendship-based tips, tricks, hacks, and solutions to living your best midlife. We are Midlife AF
And Flossom AH.
So here we go. It's Friendsome Then Some.
There it is.
There it
Wake
is.
up. Good morning.
That's how you know the show has begun, right?
Yes. Got a full house. It's amazing.
Right.
It's amazing.
See you guys.
Hi, good morning, my
Good
dears,
morning.
my friends.
We're visions in pink. We're like,
Yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's shades
Look
of
at
pink
that.
today.
It is very, very, very apropos for the summer because it's so bright and
Right?
cheerful, and the birds are singing and the flowers are blooming outside. How are y'all doing? It's so good to see your
50 shades
face.
of pink today.
our stylist is amazing. No, we have no stylist.
We have no style, no
makeup,
stylist,
hair.
No, of course
no
not.
wardrobe.
But you know what is hot? Not just the summer, which is heating up, but the guests we have
Oh.
on today's show of
I
Friendsome
know.
Then
Smoking
Some.
hot.
Yeah.
Dude, seriously, where did you find these hot women?
I know. My yoni's like vibrating and I'm ready.
Down, Yoni.
I
know what?
know. It's that Latina thing.
We
Am
might
I
be joining
right?
you. JD, Michelle, and I are about to come out of the closet.
Exactly. All right. There's room. There's room for.
Wait, that
Especially
changes.
these women.
It's not 2 gals and a gay anymore. It's
No,
just
it's three gays.
It's now it's about to be 4 gorgeous gals and a gay in the USA.
I
We
like
got to bring on
that.
these beautiful guests.
Maybe
Okay,
USA.
so
Michelle, do the
Latin
honors.
hot, finally, right? We
Yes,
get super
we have been
spicy.
wanting to
You're
talk
right.
to
This
the-
is a perfect thing for the summer. Carolina Davalos, she's a TV host. She used to work with Univision. And Celinés Toribio. Sorry. I'm gonna have to say it. I'm not saying it right.
Come
I'm
on,
trying
you're
to get
losing
my,
your
like,
Latina
I know,
card.
I know my
Yeah,
Latina
totally
card.
just got revoked.
Actress, producer, activist. They're both super out there doing their thing, and
And criminally hot. Like it
Yeah.
should be against the
Let's
law
bring them
how
on because
gorgeous
you guys
these two
are-
are.
Love.
Welcome to Friendsome Then Some.
we need like the flame graphics.
We're gonna have to just wait for the crowd to die down. Okay.
So the reason why we're having these two hotties on that are super accomplished is they're also best buddies.
BFFs.
That's right.
And they're on 2. We haven't talked about this yet on the show, but we have a lot ourselves. The bicoastal thing,
Right.
Do you have a bicoastal friend? Do you have a friend that you do everything to keep the love alive despite long distance? And then also that yin and yang thing, right? Do you have a best friend that you are nothing alike?
But you require what they have.
Exactly.
So much.
It's like you're a machine and you've got the motor, the engine, and once you put it together,
Yep.
then the car works, right? Ladies, welcome.
Yay! Welcome to Friendsome Then Some.
Celinés, will you tell us how you met beautiful Carolina? Take us back to the beginning, the inception of your story as friends.
Okay, Carolina. Well, first of all, thank you guys. Thank you so much for having us. Carolina and I, we met doing a radio show all about women show, made by women for women show in Los Angeles on Univision Radio. And this was back in 2009, I think, 2008 or 2009. And we didn't click right away. We were all very polite, very proper. We were all very supportive. These 5 women, we are very different from different fields of the communication world. But then one day, I always say this friendship was built on a carpool. Like, okay, are you going to X, Y, and Z direction? Me too. Okay, hop in. And then we started talking about life. And that's how it all began. We were like, oh my God, I remember I was driving and I'm like, does she just say that? That's how I feel.
I love that.
You know, and then we started, okay, let's text more you and I, separate from the group, because the group it was very controversial, and that's how we wanted it, because everyone had a different point of view. But Carolina and I, we kind of like started discovering that we were very in tune with the live's vision, so we started texting more.
So you guys were kind of put together as talent, sort of like on a talk show like The Talk or The View, where they wanted, different opinions to come together and they handpicked the talent. But you guys sort of gravitated to each other.
Yes, correct.
And
it was really funny because one of our mutual friends, she was in Telemundo with me before. I was in Telemundo for 9 years, and then I switched to Univision. And Daniela called me one day and said, well, will you like to be a part of this? And I said, of course, that's been my dream. I want to do radio. I want to be in a show like that, live. I love live television, live radio. It's fine. I had no idea what I was expecting. Usually I don't ask too many questions because then I feel nervous about it. So the less I know, the better. And I met Celinés and she was stunning. And she was, she just had done People's Magazine, and she got married with this beautiful, handsome guy. And she was like a firehouse, like a fireball powerhouse. And I was a little intimidated, but as she said, we didn't click right away, but then the relationship started happening later.
Sometimes those are the best relationships, right? Like the ones where your first instinct maybe wasn't totally right, but then pretty soon, and those, like a lot of times carpooling, being in a vehicle is a great way to make a friend too, because you have a common enemy. Everyone else.
The
road rage.
It's you and
so you're like, I thought
unless you're a backseat driver, then the rage is in the
exactly.
car.
But if you can both agree that it was their fault, then you guys can bond in that car, right?
Yes. But really, the conversation happened really quickly. We started just jumping into relationships and marriage and this bonding topics of women. And then we moved to spirituality and the meaning of life. And then it was a long drive and traffic in LA is really bad. So it gave us enough time to really connect and bond. And it was beautiful.
Well, I think a lot of people think that Latin America or Latinos, it's not a race. It's a culture. And you guys, even though you're both Latina, you're from two very different cultures, right? Can you explain the difference between the Dominican Republic and the Mexico? How does that fare? Because some people just kind of put us all in one pot, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, they do. And let me tell you, like Latinos we are the same when it comes to our values and our love for food and music.
Familia.
But then you go inside each country, we have different slangs, we have different upbringing, and we connected because we kind of like accepted the way we are. We were at a very key point in our lives where we were like, okay, whatever she's going through, I'm going to accept, and whatever I'm going through, she's going to accept. And we decided, it was like a conscious decision or a silent agreement without even externalizing it, to respect each other's and not judge, right? Like if she told me, hey, my heart was broken at 16, I'm like, you know what, mine at 18. But wait, how was it? And then we just learned how to listen to each other, and it flew like that. It started flowing,
I love that.
I guess you're probably so grateful too, right? Because the universe brought you together, but then it was that alchemy, the chemistry between the two of you that became the glue. We hear that a lot in our friendship stories. And I also hear, and I want to go back to this one question that you said. Do you find that it's nice to find a friend who has like a lot in common with you, but then also some complementary skills, or maybe like an introvert and extrovert, or someone who's like, not afraid to go talk to a crowd?
Like you said,
Makes
you're
a good
somewhat
wing
opposite.
woman. Yeah, like do you find balance in your friendship?
Where are you most opposite, and how does that complement the other?
Oh my God, we're totally opposite. So
well, you're both beautiful.
When I think on camera, it's easy for me just to speak because I've done it for so long. But when we go to places, she's the person that will walk into a restaurant singing. She's the person that will smile and engage with the host and talk and make friends with everybody. And I am more like, let's go down to business. I just want to drink, sit in my chair. I don't want to talk to anybody. So she goes in front, and she is this beautiful Dominican explosion smile. She smiles with her eyes. She smiles with her mouth. Look at that smile. She has a beautiful smile. So I let her be. She opens the door, and I just walk in.
I like that.
It's a beautiful compliment.
So, a lot of
sometimes I like, you know how they say women compete against each
I
other.
was just gonna ask, yeah.
We found that point where I tell her, why don't you wear the heels? Yeah, because you look better and more sexy. No, I feel tired. I'm like, come on, we're going to a bar. Just like I try to make her
Elevate
look more,
her.
right? And she does the same to me. Like we went out onto San Diego and we were going to this fancy restaurant, but it was cold. She lent me her coat and she wore like a jean jacket and I was wearing this nice, wool coat. And I'm like, how about you? She was like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, of course, with that face and body and hair, you don't need no coat, right? So we kind of like compliment each other, and we've had our disagreements. It's not always like, but we disagree. We agree to disagree.
That's good. That's a healthy.
How did you guys get through? I know you guys talked to me about getting through a rough patch of your friendship. How did you bring it back, Carolina? Tell us about how did you guys get through that?
Well, that's actually the moment that I would like to share. And I talked to Celi yesterday about this because that was a turning point, at least from my point of view. We had a trip, and you know how they say you always really get to know people when you travel together.
Yes.
So I was going through an emotional time in that time, and there was a lot of loss. I had lost my dad. I moved. I lost my job. There was a lot of feelings that I was still processing. And I told my husband I want to take a trip to London and I want to go by myself. And he's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I need some time alone." And then little by little, my sister tagged along. And then I called Celinés. I think she was going to Europe, somewhere else. And I said, "Why don't you come early and meet me in London?" And so we traveled. We got a room together. And we were off in our lives. Like she was going through something very intense as well. And I was going through something in the totally opposite. So that was a learning experience because I really couldn't understand what she was going through. And I was not in a point to really be empathic because I needed all that love and attention. I needed healing. So we had our moments, and I kind of like said, okay, fine, it's not what I was supposed to go through. I kind of got disappointed. She got disappointed, and we moved. Like she left, I left, and that was it. We kept the conversation, but very distant. Like we really didn't talk about it. Years later, she moved back to California, and she started she got through a divorce, things were different, and we reconnected and we said, let's go have drinks, let's go for dinner, let's do something, whatever, casual. And little by little, I started noticing that I was going through very similar things as she had gone through years before. And it clicked one day, and I said, oh my God, I need to tell you something. I have to tell you that I judged you, and I have to apologize. And I'm so sorry. And I feel so bad because I feel like a hypocrite. Here I am going through what you went through, and you're listening and you're being a friend. And I just want to say I'm sorry.
Wow.
I did judge, and I'm sorry for that.
I think that is a beautiful way.
I love you, Carolina.
Oh, you guys are so
I
cute.
love it. I just the way she was looking at you as you were telling that story was so. It's so obvious that the love between the two of you. And really, what friendship is a real friendship unless it has been in the mud, in the dirt, and been tested and then come out? Because that's how you know you really love each other when you can go there.
I think that it's important for our listeners to know that, when you go through things, it's so important. I think the greatest way to strengthen a friendship is to have that vulnerability and admit where you were lacking, where you were wrong, where and admitting that you judged her, I think is a really vulnerable, bold thing to put to someone that only brings you closer. And I think it's important for people to realize the more you reveal about your vulnerabilities, the closer the relationship can become.
Absolutely.
And if you just stay in your pride, it will create the rift and build the wall between you that will never come down. Pride does not tear down walls, but vulnerability does. And I think that was a big step on your part to do that, because I think that's what makes a solid friendship.
How did it make you feel, Celinés?
I see the emotion.
I'm getting emotional when I see someone cry. I'm
over
like,
friendship. Yay!
I get
At that moment, I was going through a divorce
Mm.
and 4 failure in vitros.
Oh,
It was hard. It was
that's
very hard. But I'm crying of happiness because I'm like, there are very few women in life, in my whole life. I'm 46 years old, that I have the connection that I have with her. And I
Oh.
always call her, even if we don't speak for 3 months. And then we pick up right where we left it, right? Or I can tell her, I'm like, I just need to tell you this. And we go for an hour and a half or 2 hours, me talking only, right? And she's just listening. And we have like 180 subject lines that I started writing. After we reconnected, we started talking every week or every 3 days or whatever to talk about our lives. So what I did was I said, oh my God, that was so good. I need to write this. And I started writing and I started numbering them. We started in 2018, and now we're in 2021. And I have 180 subject lines. And then I write little bullet points below it because it's like she goes into a trance, right? Like,
I know.
Like I tell her, why do you think my sister said that? I mean, she was like, no, I would just think of her this, and she's never like talking bad about any other person. She's more like putting herself in that person's shoes so that I can understand it. So I immediately start writing. We can have a show out of every line. And what the key here is that it can happen to men, women, young, old, work relationship, friendship relationship, partnership relationship. So she's amazing. I mean, I'm like, when she told me, I'm sorry I judged you, I'm like, oh, it's okay. Because in that moment, you know what I did? I went to my other best friend.
Yeah. Well, you have it's nice to have a village of friends.
You sort of pay it forward too, and then go, hey, maybe I need to say sorry to somebody. And sorry, let's be honest, in the Latin culture, it almost doesn't even have a word because especially, I don't want to hate on men, but the male Latinos have a very difficult time with apologies. And in my experience, I literally just had my dad, and I'm 49, say sorry to me for the first time.
What? What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? We need to talk about that.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a long story, but
Not fair.
but it's something that isn't easy to do for people in general.
Not at all.
But in our culture, pride is really big. And like you said, we're set up, women, to be competitive anyway. So we come in guarded to a degree. Like there's not enough room at the table for both of us. And that's sort of like an instant defense mechanism. But saying sorry is like the most amazing disarming thing to do. And it brought you guys closer. And now you, Celinés, live in Miami and you live in LA. How do you guys keep the friendship alive? I know it must have been really hard during COVID because there was no way to get together in person. But are you guys making plans?
Well, it was interesting because during COVID, she moved. So it was not only that we couldn't see each other, it was like she was moving. And I was really upset. I said, I can't believe you're moving and I'm not going to be able to say goodbye. So we decided to meet at a park and we had our masks and sanitizers and, we were 6 feet apart. We couldn't hug, we couldn't kiss because her mom was with her. And, but at least we were able to talk, to hang out, to see each other and say goodbye. And we haven't seen each other ever since, right?
Yes, that's right.
It's been a year.
Last time was like mid-May in a park. And that
was the time. That was the last time. But I don't feel like time goes by and I feel like she's so close to my heart. And when I talk to her, it's just so in my life. And something really funny happens to her because we're both extremely spiritual and I guess in different ways. But with her, when I talk to her, like when she says that I kind of go in a trance, I have my best moments of lucidity and wisdom. Words just come out. And I'm like, this happens with you. Like you allow me this space. I feel so safe and so empowered when I'm in your presence, even if it's on the phone, that all these things come out. And that is just an amazing thing for me because she has brought me closer to my gift, to my power, to my talent. And I think that is beyond friendship. That is kind of a soul connection.
such a gift and an honor to listen. So many times we have the conversation in our head ready to spew it, but we're not listening when we're waiting to respond. And sometimes just sitting in silence and letting a friend speak is the greatest gift we can give them, and just let them be who they are without judgment, like you said. Yeah. And I think that's important.
And something also that works to our advantage is that we women after 40, we go through the same challenges.
Yes.
Hormones, marriage arguments or separations or new men in my life. Like I got divorced and now I have a new man in my life. Or her child. I don't have any kids, but I have nieces and nephews. Or she vents out with me because I'm not a mom and she's, like I always see that real women have to not always be happy and dandy by being a mom. They can complain too, Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of things in common just by being women after 40.
Yep.
And that also we connect there too.
I completely agree, actually. Even though I am the sole male voice on the show, I will say this. Things change after 40. Things change physically, emotionally, energetically, in almost every way. It's like the perfect time to really focus on your best friends because you kind of really need each other. Speaking of support, I think one of the reasons why we connect so well, we, just like you, we met in media a couple decades ago and are still best friends. So we have that in common. I'm curious, though, because, there's a lot that's been said about the state of the acting industry, entertainment, and especially for people who represent, different cultures. What is the temperature like right now for Latinos and Latinas in the media in Hollywood?
Well, I haven't been active in show business since I had my daughter. So I'm going to let Celinés answer that because she was here in Hollywood for a while and now she's in Florida. So Celine, take over.
We're on the right track. We are not where we should be, but we are on the right track. And I've been thinking about this for the last 25 years of my career. When Salma Hayek and Eva Longoria, Eva Mendes, Sofia Vergara, where all those names came up, we were like, yes, we're making it. And then it went down. Mm-hmm. And then Oscar Isaac came and the Luis Miguel series in Netflix, like all those things. I'm like, yes, we're at it, but we still need more. And the same thing with minorities, other race minorities. We just need more presence.
More representative.
It's better. For example, I just came from New York City. I was shooting a series with Tracy Morgan, the African-American comedian. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing because I had to do it in Spanish. And he said, no, I wrote a role for a Dominican mom where she's Spanglish, but mainly in Spanish. So that's a window that, okay. So now they're going to subtitle our language, which is usually the opposite. Yes. So that's good. But we just need more.
Right.
Like, honestly.
So I just want to know what's coming up for you. I want to what is down the pike. Can we see you somewhere soon? What are we looking for?
Well, I think that series, The Last OG on Netflix, is probably going to be out in September.
Okay.
And I had one, Big Dogs, for Amazon Prime. In there, I spoke Spanish too. I played a nurse. And then I personally do a lot of film production in my country, Dominican Republic. We have a good local film law that incentivizes the industry. So I go down there, I write and develop the projects here in the US, and then I go down there and I shoot them. They do the festival rounds. So it's pretty much that. Like I love to write, I love to create, I love to develop and come up with a story and build it from the get-go. So pretty much that.
I'll tell you what, if you guys ever develop that show that starts with your texts and your subject lines from your emails, I think that's got merit.
Yeah, I do too.
Think about if you've got hundreds of them, you guys have gone through so many different topics, and it's all realistic because it was real.
That's podcast.
Hopefully, JD,
you can start a podcast.
ModPod Studios.
Yes, why don't you come to ModPod and start a podcast here?
This
I got to get better at self-promotion.
Evolution. I wanted to go back to what Celinés was saying about representation, because I do think that's important. And we touched a lot about that when we had Gretchen on the show from Women in Entertainment. But do you feel like the representation right now, because of COVID, did that catapult this market for more representation, or do you feel like it's sort of gratuitous?
In my point of view, COVID has helped the representation because the majority of ratings, if you go back to Netflix now, the number one television series are Who Killed Sarah, Made in Mexico, Luis Miguel, Money Heist. So I think Latinos, we have a strong say in media. We just need to own it.
Right.
We need to know our power. So yeah, I think COVID has helped because now everybody has to be home. You know how Latinos are the one that had 2 and 3 jobs? Now those people had to be home. So they tune into what brings them closer to their culture. So I would say the Latino rating went up during COVID.
It totally makes sense too. When each year that I've covered the Women Entertainment Summit and event, I've interviewed the different folks that are participating, mostly women, and asked them like, what was that thing that helped you break through? And the common answer that comes up a lot is to stop waiting for permission from a studio or from an executive. Technology has created a platform, and with the internet the way it is, that if you have talent and you have drive, you can put yourself out there and create something that is like all you, exactly how you want, and test the waters. And you don't have to wait for someone to give you permission. So I genuinely think that your idea about the emails has some legs.
Yeah.
And I also think that the reason that podcasting is becoming so popular is because it's an approachable form of media. It's scary for people to think I'm going to go try to make all of these directors, producers, everyone like my thing so we can make it. But with podcasting, it's like, we can test it. We can get better. We can, it's an approachable form of media so that it's a little bit easier entry level,
Yeah.
Just wait for Friendsome Then Some, the movie.
That's right, until Friendsome Then Some movie. Then
Well,
Divas on the set.
You can produce it, Celinés, and we'll produce your podcast.
That will be awesome. That will be great. And I also think that this whole transition during COVID and everything that we've been kind of like bottling inside, it's coming. Like we're facing fear, we're facing doubt, we're facing a lot of emotions, and people need to get connected, and kind of like this educational materials that we can find online are being very satisfying and very, very big right now. So all these topics like friendship, like life, marriage, children, they're always been there, but more like in the books, audiobooks. But now it's like, okay, I want to hear everybody's opinion, because maybe you have something that I need. Maybe you already went through something that I haven't gone through, and I can learn something so I don't make the mistakes, especially younger generations, kids that, were in high school, that were just entering college, and they're in their 18, 19 years old, 20, and here I come and I can give them all this
knowledge,
experience, right?
Yeah,
and
different
I can
learning.
guide them through. So I think now the younger audience are so open to receive that, which is great, because I think before it wasn't there.
Yeah, that's why we did the show. We want to relate to the midlife experience, but we want to give it a sense of mentorship that hopefully if the younglings listen, they're gonna get that information from our wealth of experience and learn from our mistakes. But all right, so we're ready for Word of the Day,
Word of the Day.
We're ready.
I feel like we should have a stinger.
I just love your soul connection, and I just want to say I think that that's part of it when you can really open up. It's when you have a deep soul connection with someone. And all right, who wants to
get vulnerable.
pull it?
That's the glue.
All right,
Vulnerability is the glue of
We're going
friendship.
to pull the
Digging
word.
deep, I'm digging
Rapid
deep.
fire, girls. You're going to give us your first thought when we reveal the word.
Outstanding.
Ooh. Outstanding is the word.
Outstanding.
Celinés, what comes to your mind?
Outstanding is when women empower other women.
That is
Yes,
outstanding.
I love
Women
that.
empowering other people.
I think outstanding is integrity. Like do what you say you're going to do.
Yes.
I agree. It's actually rare in Hollywood. People oftentimes do not do what they say they're going to do. That would be very
an
outstanding.
outstanding is doing something other than expected. I think going beyond even what others expect of you, reaching your highest potential and doing something just magnificent, living your greatest walk, so to speak. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, quite literally, outstanding to me is like something to stand out. Like, so what is it? So
Like
remember the
blonde
S's
hair,
and
like
O's?
super blonde hair.
Like some people just so hungry for attention, they're bleaching their hair. But when we're kids,
No, Carolina's like,
remember the S's and oh no.
This is just to cover the grades.
Same. Hello. I love it. But then outstanding, like remember when you're in your kid, you got S's and O's, those first like report cards.
Yes.
And O was the thing you were going for.
Yeah.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
It's extra. It's something.
know.
This is
Yes.
acceptable, and then outstanding is right here, and it's really what separates, I think, the biggest winners in life.
extra mile,
Michelle?
for sure.
Michelle?
Well, here's the quote that I like the most. Outstanding people have one thing in common, an absolute sense of mission. And my outstanding, just the first
good.
thing that came to my mind is the Gap Band song, Outstanding. And I had to interview
it.
Charlie Wilson a few years ago for the BET Awards. And at the end of the interview, I said, please indulge me for the duo of a lifetime. Will you please sing my favorite song of all time with me? And he's the lead singer. So we did a little duet of Outstanding.
How's it go?
Outstanding, girl, you knock me out.
And we don't own the rights to this song.
Exciting,
Wow.
makes me want to shout. Ooh.
Hey, that's
Rock and
so
roll,
cute.
baby,
All right.
rock and
Best
roll.
song ever. Look it up. Outstanding. Have an outstanding
Yeah.
day.
Should we ask really quick, where can people find you
yeah,
if they
yeah,
want to find you on social media online?
Before I go, I want to say that the three of you have the same thing you guys were talking about. It feels normal to open up. It felt very normal to cry or be sentimental.
Aw.
So thank you.
Thanks.
You
That's
for
a
the
great compliment.
opportunity. And keep it up.
That was
keep
a gift.
Thank you.
magic up.
Thank
Because
you.
I mean, you will have bad days, good days, but just put yourself in each other's shoes because it's magic what you guys are doing. So thank you.
Aw, thank you.
That's so good.
And what else? Carolina, I also have to say sorry because many times I disagree with you and I'm like in a rush. So I promise you to be a better listener this
Aw.
Look at this
my
friendship
God,
commitments.
this
I
is
love
just-
this. Maybe this should be a
Well,
segment.
She's all over the place. She's like really a jet setter. Like one day she's in Spain, the other day she's in Egypt, the other day she's in Dominican. And I see her posting.
We got
I'm
one like
okay,
that in our
she's
group,
traveling
too.
the world. I'm a mom.
What are you talking about? What you talking about,
At the same
Willis?
place, at the same time.
you.
Aw.
Thank you, guys. You can find me with my name and last name, Celinés Toribio.
Celinés Toribio.
Everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
That's
Celinés
where we find
Toribio.
you. Carolina?
I don't have any social media.
Good for you, girl.
But you have
Yeah.
Facebook, yes?
I do have, but Facebook, I haven't been in Facebook for
But she's like, but I don't want you to
100 years.
find me.
And
She's
every
like,
time
I
I
don't-
try, I type a different password and they block me, and so I have to open a new one. And I give up. Like, I'm tired.
Salinas,
I'm
help
done.
her out.
So if
Get
you
her
want to
back
get in
into
touch
media.
with Carolina, send a pigeon to LA.
I promise I'm going to start a new Instagram for everybody. However, my thing is more like spirituality. It's
Perfect.
not really entertainment. So I'm trying to do something with that in that context.
I love it.
Well, whenever that has developed and formed into a ready idea, come back on the show. We want you to talk about it. You
Will
guys
do.
are
We
part
could
of our
do a whole
Friendsome.
episode on
Oh, gracias,
Carolina's
señoritas.
spirituality,
Ah,
that's for sure.
Have an
you.
amazing weekend and
Thank
keep it up.
you.
Keep it up.
Con mucho gusto.
Happy
Thank you
summer.
so much.
Gracias.
Thank you,
Happy
guys.
summer, ladies. You're
Thank you.
gorgeous. Spread your love and light.
Mwah, mwah. Thank you.
Did you like what you heard today on our podcast? Or did you like what you saw on our vidcast? Were you watching?
How about sending us a comment or suggestion on any topic you want us to talk about?
We'll have new episodes every Tuesday. Please join in the conversation on our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. You can download our podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. See you next time on
Friendsome Then Some.